Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Sideboard Files here on HEDRON.TV. Manuel here, your host as usual, joined once again by the one and only Joshua Bausch. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me again.
Thank you for taking your time and to be here a few days after Grand Prix Lyon, where you made top 8. Congratulations,
Yes.
Fantastic stuff.
Thank you very much.
So it was an amazing run. I mean, what was your final score?
My final score after the Swiss was 13-1-1. Then I won in the top 8, lost in the semifinals,
Okay.
14-2-1. So in the end,
Third place, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. Congratulations again for this great achievement.
you.
Good stuff for you and for your team, Team Phoenix 404.
yes,
And if I understand correctly, this is actually your invention, this Mono-G Tron list that we are talking about in this episode. So
so
is it the
yes,
stuff you came up with?
It all started way before the Pro Tour, because Christian Haug and Marius Häuser, friends of mine, were qualified for Pro Tour Rivals of Ixalan and were searching for a deck. And they played different kinds of decks in modern tested stuff. And at some point, Christian came up with this the Tron list. Everyone was playing black-green, a dual color list with more black cards in the sideboard, but everyone was playing Field of Ruin.
Okay.
So you need to get prepared for land hate, and having multiple basic lands in your list prevents you from screwing out and actually casting your threats without assembling drawn.
Okay, so you have any insurance there?
Yes,
Yeah.
you have the insurance there, and we played it. He 5-0'd one of his first leagues with it, and we tuned it out and tested it through some tournaments. Then in the end, like almost every German player from the team in their testing house were playing this deck.
Okay.
They made some changes, and in the end, they had some okay, not all the best, so no one went close to the top 8, but all solid finishes.
Okay.
And it came up to GP Lyon, where I made top 8.
So finally you said, you
Yes.
proved to the world,
Yes.
this is the list.
Yes.
This is the way to go.
Yes.
Okay, so let's have a look at the list that you played there at Grand Prix Lyon. And let's talk about a bit how you balance the different elements there in preparation for the metagame that you were expecting.
So as we mentioned, the mana base, we play 5 forest.
Mhm.
You can go some variations of 4 forest. And John Finkel at the Pro Tour played 1 Horizon Canopy. You can do that as well, but I think I like more 5 forest. It came up multiple times that you need the 5th basic land, and just having 1 more cantrip land. It's okay, but I don't really like it.
Okay.
Then we play the Ghost Quarter and not the Field of Ruin. The importance card in the mirror is the Ghost Quarter, and you need to Ghost Quarter him before turn 3 and when he's on the play.
Okay.
Because with Field of Ruin it's not possible. You don't have 2 mana available
Sure.
activate it, and if he carries you on turn 3, the game is basically over. So we went with that. Then why we choose the Tron list over, for example, the Rossi Tron was like getting the most value out of Ballista, Walking Ballista. One of the newer cards that I think pushed Tron or the Tron strategies way over the top, playing it on turn 3 for 6, shooting 3 cards, 3 creatures away against Affinity, Infect again, against Druid combo, for example. Now you have some new tools, even against humans. Ballista is one of the better cards you can play on turn 3. Gives the deck a new angle, I think. And playing it on turn 4 for 8 with Sanctum of Ugin finds you Ulamog right away, and having the option to play it early and even in a late game, and it's still getting more powerful. I think that's the newest invention that we went with in the mono-green list.
Mhm.
You saw it early in the black-green lists. You saw Ballistas, but they were just playing 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And at first, we went with the full 4.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
this card was
Okay.
like overperforming
Yeah.
here and there.
It's doing so many things that you want to do in this deck.
Yes.
From preserving your life totally in the early turns of the
Yes.
game to interact in different ways against quite a lot of different decks. I mean,
Yes.
we're talking about, you mentioned before the Druid, the Counters Company, and combo stuff, and
Yes.
also aggro decks in general. I mean, it's keeping a lot of stuff in check.
Yes.
So totally understandable why you wanted at the very beginning also to go with all 4, but then you trimmed one. You're just playing 3
Yes, because after the Pro Tour, we saw that there were decks popping up, the Traverse Shadow, the Hollow One deck in various, like in the black-red and
Yeah.
the green-red versions. And there was decks like going a little bit, I don't know, it's not so popular anymore, was like Affinity. There was no Infect really at the Pro Tour, and the Druid combo was not anywhere anymore. So we needed more room to make the mid-range matchups a little bit better, and so I changed Ballista for Wormcoil Engine, for the 3rd Wormcoil Engine.
Okay, so this is one of the flexi slots we could say because Ballista, I understand now, it's part of the core.
Yes.
You don't want to play this
Yes.
deck without Ballista.
Yes.
So
Exactly.
but Wormcoil Engine is the flexi thing,
Yes.
the flexi slot. Sorry.
One of the flex slots is also the Dismember. I wanted to play Dismember over, for example, Spatial Contortion, as we see later in the sideboard, or a friend of mine played the Relic main deck. I think they're all good options, but I wanted to kill the Gurmag Anglers and Hollow Ones.
Okay.
And even Tarmogoyfs early in the game. That's why I went with Dismember. And with Mono Green, you don't really have a really good removal spell, and so it's the only choice that you can make.
Yeah.
That's why many black Tronless play Hide Fatal Push. It's a better removal spell, but I think it's not worth it playing black for it. So splashing.
Okay. You were fine with Dismember in the end.
Yes,
okay.
Dismember. It's the worst against Burn. So you don't really want it against Burn, but I think Burn is an overall bad matchup that you can't really just tune for this matchup and making everything other worse.
Okay. But let's talk a bit about the Wormcoil Engine as well, because, you mentioned this is like a flexi slots, but I would like to know why this particular creature.
This creature, because it's the best creature you can have in aggro and in mid-range matchup. Humans, for example, it was a breakout deck really for the Pro Tour. And if they don't have Reflector Mage, this card wins on the spot.
Okay.
Against Tarmogoyf decks. You play this out, they have no real removal for it. When they have a removal for it, you get 2 Worm tokens. And so the grind continues. And you always make profitable blocks with it. You gain life, and it's one of the hardest creatures to handle.
Okay.
Even for that, there are control matchups with Path to Exile. There is the Wormcoil doesn't shine there, but still they have to handle it. Otherwise, it beats them down in like 3 turns.
Sure, they need to have an answer. They need to have this Path to Exile very fast. Otherwise, they will just. I mean, the clock is really heavy, so they don't have too much turns to draw it.
Yes.
Okay, very good. So you expected actually to play against other Tron decks.
Yes.
Very often.
Yes, in the end, I didn't. I ID'd in the last round with one of the Tron decks, with Davide, and played just one Tron deck in the top 8. Other than that, I just played against various control strategies, against Reverse Shadow, I even played against Burn, and Affinity, and all kinds of stuff. But no Tron deck at the end.
No Tron deck, but your list was tuned to have a sort of advantage in the mirror.
Yeah. There's one more card that I could talk about, is the World Breaker. That was one of the most discussed cards before the tournament at our chats, because this card, you don't really want it anymore, but I liked it because of the fact Lantern won the Pro Tour, and it's the best cards against Lantern because they can't mill it, and it's very good in the mirror as well. So if you can play it on turn 3, turn 4, you exile the Tron land, and basically it's a 5th card, you can say. And that was my reason for playing it.
Okay. Okay. Any other inclusion in the main deck that you would like to talk about?
No, I think it's a pretty standard then list
Okay.
or Tron shell, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4 cons, 2 against. We thought about playing some different threats, but right now they're not performed or are not needed right now. But I would make changes now with the new.
Oh yeah,
metagame.
sure. I mean, Grand Prix Lyon was like old modern, was like
Yes.
frozen in time,
Yes.
but actually now we have Jace the Mind Sculptor and Bloodbraid Elf
Yes.
legal. So yeah, is the deck going to change a lot, or
I
how do you
think
see that?
I think for just Jace decks and Bloodbraid Elf, the deck is very good, or is very good in this kind of metagame.
Mm-hmm.
When you expect just these kind of decks and not fast decks, I would play it. But I would do a couple of changes with it.
Okay.
So now I would remove the World Breaker.
Okay.
World Breaker would go out.
Okay.
I think Worm Call Engine, you can discuss it that you take it out as well because it's just good against the Bloodbraid Elves, but not so good against the Jace decks because of this ability of him -1 and just bouncing. It's
bouncing it back to your hand. Yeah.
I made some games on Magic Online and it's quite annoying, I can say.
Okay.
There was a card that some guys tested for us, the Emrakul, the Promised End.
Okay.
Now, with this metagame going forward, I would include it for sure. You have 2 Ulamog, and I would also add the 1 Emrakul. It's one more of the Titans, and having the mind control effect is very important against the J6, I would say, because you can screw them up very hard.
Okay, excellent. So, yeah, we covered already this, let's say, brief explanation of how the deck can move forward, but one thing is sure, Tron is going to stay.
Yes,
it's definitely a solid deck.
For the next tournament, I would recommend it, but going forward, if everyone played with their Jace and their Bloodbraid Elves, that would be the rise of the turn 3 kill decks, like combo decks, like very fast aggro decks, and then you don't want to be the Tron player. Because
okay. So you can't really predict exactly what is going to happen, but you can already think about how to tune your deck now that Jace and Bloodbraid Elf is.
Yeah, for the early days, it's good.
For the early days, yeah.
But for going forward after that, it's probably not the best choice.
Yeah, in the long term, we have to see actually what happens. Okay. So I think we said it all for the main deck. So let's start talking about this sideboard right here. So this is the sideboard you prepared for Grand Prix Lyon, of course. So with that in mind, these were your choices. 3 Thought-Knot Seer, 1 Spatial Contortion, 1 Warping Whale, 1 Graphic Cascade, 2 Relic of Progenitors, 2 Surgical Extraction, 3 Thrug Tusk, and 2 Nature's Claim.
Yes.
So, Thrug Tusk, Thought-Knot Seer, this is like, I saw it in every sideboard, every Mono-G Tron sideboard. There are other choices instead that were not so common. For instance, not everyone chose to play Surgical Extraction. So this is actually the card that I would like to talk about first.
Surgical is the card Christian Hawk came up with first, because that's the tool you fight in the mirror. You need to fight in the mirror with.
Okay.
Because you want to Ghost Quarter him and Surgical their whole Tron piece, all 4 Tron pieces of the ones that you Ghost Quartered.
So you will never assemble Tron again.
So that your opponent never assemble Tron. Exactly.
Yeah, that's the message to your opponent.
Yes, because if you're playing Khan on turn 3 on the play, you basically won the game. So you could say there are very, very, very few instances where you still win the game, but normally you will never come up to Tron or even close to more than 3 lands in play.
Okay. That's super crystal clear.
Yes, and even it's a flex against other graveyard decks, for example, Dredge and Storm. You bought it in there because you can hit premium targets with it, and it can win you still the game. But the real graveyard removal, for example, for Hollow One, I would not recommend it because there is a different kind of combination of graveyard stuff and discard stuff.
You need different type of graveyard to deal with that particular strategy. Okay.
Yes.
Which you have in your sideboard as well, I guess.
As well. Yeah, I did.
Okay. So let's go with that.
So there is more Gravitate and Relic of Progenitors. That's a card I would main deck going forward as well, because you will see more control decks with Jace and beating Snapcaster Mage is one part of it.
Sure.
And I would cut a Dismember for it, if you ask me, and because you don't need to prepare for more aggro decks, I think, at the start of the new metagame, and having Gravitate in the main deck, and it is also a cantrip, so it draws you into your threats. Comes in handy.
Okay, so you would have probably 1 or 2 in the main deck, I don't know exactly now, but you would still have some in the sideboard, or you would move this to the main deck?
I think I would move it to the main deck.
You would move it to the main deck, okay.
Yes.
But for Lyon, you had it in the sideboard, and you had it in the sideboard because of, I would say, I don't know, what were you thinking when you put these in the sideboard?
For graveyard decks, Dredge control decks, for Hollow One, for everything that interacts with the graveyard storm.
Okay.
You need Grafdigger's Cage.
These matchups.
Yes. And sometimes, and you bought it in the mirror as well, because of surgical extraction. So
you want to protect your stuff in the graveyard from surgical.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that comes up quite often. So you just don't want to tap out with your relic.
Okay.
When there's a Ghost Quarter in play.
Okay, excellent. So we stay here on the central line, and let's go for Grafdigger's Cage, because I also had a look of other Mono-G Tron lists, also the other guys that made top 8 and everything, and you had similar choices, but not exactly the same choices. And you are one of the guys that actually chose to have a one Grafdigger's Cage.
Yeah,
why is that?
I saw it in John Finker's list, and I think going forward with the Hollow One lists, they have Bloodghast and Flamewake Phoenixes. And I liked it as a flex card against company decks. It's another Graveyard Hate, the 5th Graveyard Hate you have in your sideboard against this decks. I thought there were more Hollow One decks at the Grand Prix, and I play against more, and that's a card I would always sideboard in against them.
Sure.
In the end, I never bought it once.
You just didn't. Yeah, you didn't play this matchup.
I never played a matchup any matchup I would bought it in. So I'm still happy I had it in my sideboard, because having the option is always good. But in the end I didn't need it. But I think it's one of the flex cards you find with Ancient Stirrings, and fight various strategies with it.
Yeah, sure. So Hollow One, as we said, and also counters company decks.
Yeah.
So it makes perfect sense to have at least one. I understand your choice completely. Okay, so let's go up here. First row, you have 3 Thought-Knot Seer. I've seen these everywhere.
Yeah, you can combine Thought-Knot Seer with Fractusk. There is after sideboarding, you go much lower to the ground. Well, with your threat density, most of the time, because they're bought in more land hate and want to fight your lands more probably, and then you need to play some threats earlier, or need to more interact more with your opponent, and then they're coming. For example, against control decks, you bought in both of them. Fractus is a hard threat to handle, and Thought-Knot Seer having the beater and disrupting the hand of your opponent.
Sure.
Is game winning. So I think these cards, two combined, have a similar role in going lower to the ground, and also these unique effects. In Mono Green, you don't have this card, but with Thought-Knot Seer, you have the option of doing it. Yeah. So the black readers play Thoughtseize, but I think you don't need to play black, because you have Thought-Knot Seer.
Yeah, definitely. This is more than enough to collect information and get rid of a card that is annoying you. So, if I understood correctly, you're going to take it slower in game 2, and you want to have more presence on the board, and also be able to, let's say, deal with the answers that your opponent sided in against you.
Exactly.
So, the main reason. And do you always side these together? Are they always coming together in the matchups? Or
against Tamograph decks, you don't board in the Thought-Knot Seer, because the matchup is already so good because of all your other threats.
Okay.
Against control decks, you board in the Thought-Knot Seer, and against decks, you need to discard some cards, or they have problematic cards, or a lot of land hate. Then you board in this card, but Fractus comes again like every matchup, I think.
Okay.
It's like the card you always
Okay.
wanted because it's an early threat. It's easy to cast with just 1 green, and yeah, it's gains your life. It leaves something on the battlefield when it dies, and yeah,
Does a lot of stuff for you.
it does a lot of
Yeah.
stuff. It's
Okay.
has impressed me a lot.
Okay. Okay. Excellent. So, upper row here, spatial contortion, 1 copy.
Yes, these copies kind of go together, the Whopping Whale and the spatial contortion.
They work together as well.
There is
Okay.
some, because at first there was 2 spatial contortions,
Mm-hmm.
but I wanted some diversity, and spatial contortion does not kill like everything you want to kill. It's coming in the aggro matchups. There are some Nakatl decks and Goblin Guide decks you want to bring it in, but there are not so many that you really need spatial contortion for it.
Okay.
In most of the matchups, a Whopping Whale also kills the creatures you want to kill. It kills an affinity, like almost every creature on you want, like
Sure.
Steel Overseer. It kills the Druid from the Druid combo deck. It kills like the other cards, like the Mana Dogs, if you want to kill it. So Whopping Whale is also a flexible card that you can bring in against combo deck as well because of the countering sorcery thing. It's sometimes relevant, and even making this Scion token that you can, when you have Tron already in hand and you play it on turn 2, you can play, for example, an Ugin on turn 3. That sometimes can surprise your opponent.
Okay. So that little creature adding extra mana can decide the match in the end.
Exactly.
Okay.
So these 2 kinds of cards are 2 removal spells. The Spatial Contortion just a +3/-3 for killing higher toughness creatures like Meddling Mage, for example, and Whopping Whale is a flexible removal spell with some hidden modes, I would say.
Yeah. You can also counter sorcery spells with this one. Did it ever occur actually during the Grand Prix?
Not at the Grand Prix. That's one of the cards I not really bought it in often because I don't had the matchups for it.
Okay.
But on Magic Online it came up quite often. I counted some scape shifts.
All right. Okay. So useful there as well.
Yes.
Okay. Very good. So we are left with 1 card here, 2 copies of Nature's Claim.
Yes, exactly. Nature's Claim is just a naturalized effect you need, getting rid of Stony Silence, of Blood Moon, of problematic artifacts and enchantments that your opponent can play, and sometimes gain your life against burn.
Very important there.
Yes.
So it happened in a few occasions that actually you had to destroy one of your own permanents to gain life.
In the Grand Prix it happened.
Okay.
I played against burn.
Okay.
And on day 1, I don't remember on which round it was, and I was down a game, and he had 1 card in hand left, and I was on 4 life, and I just played a Wurmcoil Engine, had another artifact in play, and Nature's Claim on hand, and I knew his last hand card would be Skullgreg.
Okay.
So he drew a card, played the Swift Spear, attacked with his Grim Lavamancer, and the Swift Spear. I blocked with my Wurmcoil Engine, and he Skullgregged me, and in response, Nature's Claimed my other artifact to gain 4 life that won me the game.
Okay.
So it comes off quite often because life is a thing you need against acrobatics.
Sure. Especially very fast like burn. Absolutely. Okay, very good. So before we wrap this episode up, I would like to ask you one thing. Generally speaking, before we were talking about the new modern with Jace, the Mind Sculptor, and the Bloodbraid Elf, and Band and everything, the changes they would do in the main deck. Is it possible now already to talk about some changes in the sideboard, or is it too early for that?
We have some cards that we want to test out in a new meta. For example, a Sundering Titan is a card that we maybe want to include in the threat base, maybe in the sideboard, maybe in the main deck. We don't know yet. And the card going forward that's not very popular, but I think will come up more because a lot of Jace decks will occur over the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
And Choke. The card Choke is a card we want to test.
Okay.
and I think it's one of the most underrated cards right now, and could probably be surprising against a lot of decks.
Yeah, sure. Maybe not so surprising because now we just talked about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Are your teammates happy that you share this information, or?
Oh, they would be fine with it. So we don't know. We don't know yet if it's good or not.
Yeah,
but, that's a card we want to test for the next Grand Prix. So
okay. So we can just mention the work that is awaiting waiting ahead for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, very good. So I didn't ask you at the beginning of the show what kind of sideboard was this. I usually ask this question, but as far as I understood, this was a sideboard that was tuned for the mirror and trying to help you to survive against very fast decks.
It's like basically tuned for the metagame I expected. I expected less aggro decks, less combo decks. I expected more mid-rangey decks and control decks in the format, and there are tools for the mirror match and for graveyard based decks, because Modern is a wide format. You can play against different kind of strategies and all kinds of decks. And but in the end, it was a focused sideboard against more mid-range control decks, and I was right.
Oh yeah, sure you were. I mean, third place speaks volumes about your perception of the metagame. All right, fantastic. So we reached the end of the episode. And thank you very much, Joshua, for being here once again.
Thank you very much.
And a big thank you to all of you who've been watching this episode. I hope you enjoyed. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, or if you want to follow us on Twitter and Facebook, facebook.com/HEDRON.TV, twitter.com/HEDRON.TV, and of course, stay tuned on HEDRON.TV for more content to come. For now, it's goodbye.
Goodbye.